Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I just talk about movies, merchandising, theme parks, whatever the case may be, that's somehow related to Disney in one shape or form. And even though it may be related to like shows, movies, or whatever, yes, but still, I guess it counts. Anyway, I'll be responding to this one article saying that Frozen 3 should introduce another book from this author, this fairy tale, even though it was already loosely based on the author's works. The Snow Queen, of course, well, loosely based, but I guess the article is trying to suggest more a faithful adaptation of a certain book. Maybe not that very book that this movie is based upon, the first movie, I mean, but maybe a different tale, just being a bit more accurate, maybe. And that should be the third film, I guess. And I mean, yes, of course, Disney's adaptations are known for their accuracy for when it comes to their the movies. Of course, they take some liberties, which could be a bad thing or good thing depending on the execution of the story. But they would have elements from said book or books, I guess you can say. But anyway, so yeah, this article is saying that what I just said, that the first film was loosely based on the Snow Queen by that one author, and the sequel expanded the franchise's world beyond the Kingdom of Arendelle, which also the authors brought up as well, and the fact that it would introduce the Enchanted Forest. So basically, I mean, yes, okay, sure. The sequel, the follow up to Frozen 2, isn't based on any stories, books, video games, or TV shows or whatever. It's not based upon anything. So it's more original in that sense because it's not based upon any material that already existed, whether it be poems, short stories, graphic novels, or whatever else. So it's more original in that sense because it's not based upon already existing material. So yes, that can be tricky because the first movie was based loosely on something, a novel that had been around for quite some time. So what this article is suggesting is that it should maybe adapt another story about the same author, this one right here, folks, and use that as a foundation for the plot. So there's that. So this could be an attempt for Frozen 3 to basically further further world building by incorporating these elements from this story I just made. I just showed a moment ago. Both Frozen films became the highest grossing animated feature of all time. So, yes, so this could potentially work. And of course, obviously, the fact that I'm not denying the fact that there could potentially be a part three. Yes, there could be potentially a part three coming up because of the fact that, both films made a bunch of money. So, this is a business after all. Whether people want to accept that or not, the film industry is in fact a business. They made a living off of making sequels, franchises, reboots, side stories, whatever you call it, prequel, sequel, whatever. Yeah, Hollywood has made a lot of money based on that alone. I mean, they made a lot of money just based on franchises. So again, that's not really surprising, really. I could easily make an entire video where I'll be talking about the fact that Hollywood had been making franchises over the decades, and it's something they're not going to stop because they've been doing this kind of a thing for like since forever, and it's a really easy way to make money. And you can always argue that a lot of these franchises, at least not, at least the vast majority of them, start off strong but progressively get worse as it goes, which does happen. So yeah, the thing is that it does happen when it comes to this kind of a thing. Of course, you want to make money as often as you can, as much as you can, and there's also the fact that uh, Some of these franchises may have just gone on for way too long than they should have. And you can say that for most of these. I say most. But yeah, at which point do you have to say stop? Just stop. And yeah, and that's the thing. That's something you definitely have to just consider, folks. And you have to think of an overall story and whatnot. I know a lot of these films are very iconic and whatnot, of course. And especially with the superhero stuff, it's very popular, of course. All those racing car type movies. Of course, there want to be a bunch of them, of course. But yeah, that's something you do have to wonder about. Is it necessary and whatnot? If one installment is bad, you have to use the next installment to basically try to erase it in some ways, which has happened in franchises before, with the next installment being the one to erase the bad one. But yeah, of course. Just to give you some examples of what I'm talking about here, folks, is that let me see. Okay, here we go. Like the X-Men 3 was poorly received. So yeah, it was viewed as a mistake. So X-Men Days of Future Past was trying to erase it from its own continuity, like it wouldn't count anymore. And that's one. Let me see what else. Or like, okay, Superman 3 was also viewed as a disaster. So as a result, Superman 4 was trying to rectify that, I guess, but only made the matters worse. Then you get another Superman film until this one came out, which tried to fix up the problem, but didn't really help. But then there was Man of Steel that just started over, which didn't really help either because it was a mixed bag in some ways. Okay, another example of this is Blade 3, which a lot of people didn't like, so they might reboot the franchise, maybe. And there's also Terminator 3 as well, which a lot of people did not seem to like whatsoever, really. So there was the fourth film in the franchise, which trying to fix things up, I guess. Which honestly, I thought was a bad movie, if you ask me. But and then with Terminator Genesis trying to fix up the problem, which a lot of people didn't like either. And then there was the Dark Fate, which people still didn't like, and they were trying to fix up the problems from previously. So yeah, that's the thing. Okay, I thought of another one of what I'm talking about. Here we go. Spider-Man 3. A lot of people didn't like it. It was lukewarm at best, the response, I mean. So they made The Amazing Spider-Man, which a lot of people didn't like. And you know they tried to do this to fix the problem by making it worse and worse. And then they made Spider-Man 2, which didn't really help much, really. So yikes. So the current Spider-Man movies are doing fairly well in the new continuity. So I guess that's something. I guess. And okay, another quick example is the Star Wars prequel trilogy, which a lot of people didn't like. Neither do I. So in the a new series of films, I guess they were trying to fix it in some ways. I guess. So that's something. So bottom line is that yeah, what point do you stop? And do you want Frozen to suffer the same fate as the things I just mentioned? Is what I'm getting at. And yeah, so this could be a high pressure kind of a thing. So you have to think about that. The article, like I was saying earlier, suggests that it should be faithful to a certain book that was done by the same author of the Snow Queen, I guess. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not, or that would prevent any of the problems I just mentioned. I guess I'm not quite sure. My my bottom line is that my point, as if it wasn't obvious enough, I'm not eliminating the fact. I'm not taking away the chance that they would make a Frozen 3. It's popular, so of course they wouldn't mind making a Frozen 3. It's money, 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 money. It's like you print your own money in this case. Because Frozen 1 and 2 became one of the highest grossing animated, two of the highest grossing animated films ever. Frozen 2 did get a very mixed response. Yes, even though despite the fact it actually made more money than the first movie. But the reviews and whatnot were, like I said, were mixed. Some hated it, some loved it, some were like, that was okay. Some were indifferent, I guess. So it was like a mixed bag of nuts, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Very, very, very mixed response. And others were like lukewarm about it. So yikes. So yeah, you do have to keep that in mind as well. So the reviews for the first movie were actually way more positive. The novel that the article was referring to, I've never read it, so I don't know if it's a good story or bad story or in between. I'm pretty sure it's a good enough story because I know for a fact it was adapted into film multiple times over the years, ever since its original release. So it has to be at least good enough for that to occur, I guess, because there's obviously a fan base for it. And the author had published multiple books anyway, so there's that as well. He's already a popular brand when it comes to novels anyway. The author of The Snow Queen, of course, is what I'm referring to, who also wrote that book that the article mentioned as well. So that's something, I guess. I know I've said this already, but Disney has already based a lot of their films on books that was already, quite old. I do think they're running out of ideas in some ways because they're making those god awful remakes again and again and again and again. But yeah, that's the thing, folks. I believe all remakes are automatically bad anyway. But I just feel like that Disney is coming off way too comfortable with their properties because originally they had to prove that they can actually make great movies. Yeah, a lot of the original films were actually really good. But as time went, it just comes off like they got lazier and lazier and lazier. And it shows. It shows they got lazier. So that also worries me as well because they're going to just slack off on making new movies, which a lot of the time they have done, especially when it comes to the old live action movies. The animated stuff, it depends what you're talking about. It's kind of wishy washy, I guess. Kind of depends on which one you're talking about. So that's a maybe, I guess you can say. So it kind of depends on which of the animated films you're talking about. But yeah, like I said, the article showed it's like it should be based upon that to as a way to connect the two stories, version one and two, as a way to as world building, I guess, like I said earlier. And like Elsa, like the fact that Elsa in the first film had to accept her identity, but because she has these powers now and the way she is, and then for the sequel, Princess Anna and Queen Elsa had to pretty much fix up the mistakes from from the past. So, what could be the theme, the hook, which by the way is a term for these movies? What's the hook for the third movie? What can the hook be? The theme of it in the third movie? What can it possibly be? Okay, let me see here. Okay, maybe I can just throw this in here, folks, for a quick thing. I was just gonna mention before cut this video off. It's getting pretty lengthy right now. But anyway, Duke of Weaseltown. I'm pretty sure a lot of people remember Duke of Weaseltown from the first movie, who did not appear in the second movie, by the way, in case anyone is wondering. But anyway, I can use this as an example to throw a reference to real world examples, like what happened to Germany in World War One and Two, and what happens afterwards specifically, I guess, to be more exact, because they had to pay for reparations reparations, if that's the proper way of saying it. Excuse me if I butcher that. That was a lot of money, and it took them more than a few decades to pay for that off entirely. I don't know how you could frame that in a way for the Frozen movies. Do something similar to that, but with Duke of Weaseltown, and because he got into some legal trouble in the first film. What do I mean? If you have not seen the movie, you're not gonna know what I'm talking about. You have to see the first film to know. You get a sense of what I'm saying here. Or you can mention like maybe Hans wants revenge. Again, if you've seen the first, if you want to see, if you've seen the first film, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're not gonna know. Or the fact that maybe the fact that he has a bunch of brothers, which again was mentioned in the first film. Maybe they want revenge. Maybe they had to change his heart because in the first movie, Hans said, well, assuming he's not lying though, that again, what I mean by lying, what you have to see the first movie. But what I'm saying is that a lot of his he admitted in the first film where his brothers did not pay attention to him, to mean. So I mean, okay, a lot of brothers that tend to do that anyway, just be mean to them, just to be rough housing. Of course, that's what they do. But that's normal. So rough housing and whatnot. So he didn't really elaborate that much, really. Again, assuming he's telling the truth. Again, referring to the first movie, but the point being, even if there were actually a bunch of assholes, which I'm getting the impression of, he's trying to get at, it was just a bunch of assholes. Maybe they have a change of heart and they just want revenge. I guess for family honor or something. I don't know. Um, but then you made the part three be something in that regard, maybe, or maybe Christoph maybe again. It's going back to the first movie. Maybe Christoph's family. Maybe it could be about him. Explore his heritages, his family tree branch a bit more. Maybe you could do that. I don't know. I guess the only real problem with what these ideas is that it's kind of rehashing. Yeah, it's rehashing. I guess quite a bit of the first movie. So yeah, it's good. That's gonna feel like you're just doing that. It's gonna feel not interesting because of that. So I mean, yes, there's ways you can fix that problem. Obviously, folks, there's ways you can fix this. So it can come off like repetitive. Is what I'm getting at. But yeah, let me just wrap these up. Like I said, this video is already getting rather lengthy as it is. But yeah, folks, referring to the article, they whoever wrote this is trying to say that maybe they should based on the one book I just mentioned earlier. Um, again, I don't know if that would work. I know the article isn't suggesting that Frozen 3 will be about that. No, but yes, should Frozen 3 raise the stakes for the sisters and the kingdom of Arendelle to the maximum degree? Yeah, you can raise the stakes and whatnot, but I don't know what could be done exactly, what specifically, I'm not sure. The article doesn't, I showed earlier, folks, does not bring any concrete options really and any concrete evidence, like whatsoever, like at all. It's just like a bunch of the other articles I mentioned before in this channel. Just could, would, should, maybe this, maybe that, could this, maybe that, maybe this will happen, maybe it's again and again and then again and again, just a guessing game. What the plot is, I'm sure that Disney, the people who worked, and I wouldn't be surprised that they want to do another one. Like I was saying, I won't be surprised because both movies made a lot of money on DVD sales, on Blu-ray sales, on the compact sales, combos pack sales. I mean, like the merchandise, like the shoes and whatnot, or coloring books, or anything else, for example, or even the used market sales had made a lot of money. And also the theatrical run of these movies have made a lot of money during the time of the theaters. And that alone made these movies a truck ton of money. So I'm not saying I would. I'm not trying to say I'm terminating the idea that they would never make a part three. It's likely that they would. It's a high possibility that they will eventually make a third one. That possibility is there just because of the money. I'm just based on that, just because of the money. Not that not the story, no, but the money. All right, folks, that'll be it. As always, thanks for watching and take care. See you.